to get going. Gotta catch those runners taking off like a Boeing. If the volume spikes, then it's time to trade. Mighty 90 setting up, it's time to get paid. Navigation trading on the mic, time to get focused. We don't need any indicator, hocus pocus. It's all about the price, just watch it move. Manage your risks so you don't lose. First hour of trading is all we need. Focus on the patience and forget about greed.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's day trading live stream. Today is Tuesday, February 3rd. S&P futures up 8 points. NASDAQ up 92. Russell's up 8. Dow is down 91. Gold's up 6%. Silver up 13. Metals on the move. Notes and bonds a little bit red. 10-year yield up 0.5%. Oil's up 1%. Natural gas up a little over 1%. Soybeans, wheat, and corn all up a little bit. Euro and the pound pretty flat. Bitcoin's up about 0.33%. And VIX is down about 0.5%, sitting at 16.27. PLTR had big earnings beat, or the price reacted as if it was a beat anyway. I don't know what the actual report was, but we did a earnings butterfly in Power Hour yesterday. Mine's right at the center strike, so I did a 3-lot. I'll take 2 of those off probably here close to the open just to lock in that profit. Should be at least 100%, probably closer to, actually, well, today's Tuesday. We have till Friday, so actually it may not, should be close to 100% anyway. Other big movers so far this morning, PLTR's up the most, about 11.5%. SNDK's up 5%. SoFi's up 4%. Affirm's up 3%. Some good strength in chip stocks. AMD's up 2%. AVGO's up 1.5%. MU up 1.3%. Biggest red, PayPal had earnings. It's down 18%. Pfizer also, it's down 5%. Salesforce down 2.5%. Netflix a little bit red. Apple a little bit red. Microsoft a little bit red. Good morning, everyone. Watson, you did a bearish fly, but then you bought a bunch of shares. After the earnings came out, you bought shares? So after it made its kind of first pop? Gotcha. Cool. S&P just under previous day high. NASDAQ just dipped below its previous day high. I don't have any calendars or 1DTE to enter this morning, so it'll be just straight day trades for me to start. I'll be trading 3DTE unless it's one of the big 7 that now have Monday, Wednesday, Friday options. In that case, I'll be trading 1DTE. So either 1DTE or 3DTE today. I will make sure I specify. Opening bell incoming. And the expected range in SPX looks like 27.74. It was over 40 yesterday. Okay, let's see what's moving here. Amazon is pushing up above previous day high, which is also its pre-market high. I'm going to go ahead and load up some Amazon calls, and I will do the 1 DTE, and I would trade the 247.5s. Just getting those ready. Microsoft opened at previous day low and it's pushing lower. Tesla pushing lower, Nvidia pushing lower. Nvidia just went into the red. Netflix pushing lower. IWM is on the move up, pushed above its previous day high. I'm going to go ahead and load up some IWM calls as well. I would also trade 1 DTE on those, and I would do the 265s. AVGO is acting the strongest of some chip stocks. It is pushing above previous day high. I'm going to get some 1 DTE calls ready in AVGO. I would use the 340s. NASDAQ dipping, S&P dipping. Yeah, Intel strong. Intel's up almost 5%, pushing up to pre-market highs right now. I'll put Intel on my board here. Mark out the pre-market high on Intel. All right, seeing some weakness come in here. Tesla dipped into the red, but it's bouncing. Nvidia is super weak. Microsoft weak. S&P just pushed below pre-market lows. S&P tried to push up right initially at previous day high and got rejected. Nice bounce out of Tezzy. S&DK made a big push, but it's back down near pre-market high. Amazon starting to bounce again. PLTR dropping. Microsoft, I'm gonna load up some puts on Nvidia and Microsoft. Nvidia, I would do the 1DTEs and I would do the 182.5s. Microsoft, I'm going to load up the 1DTE. I would trade the 415 puts. VIX contracted overnight. Fish, mine doesn't qualify. Nice bounce in Tesla. Meta starting to push. Meta strong. Meta shown some good relative strength here. I'm going to load up some calls in Meta, which would be the 1DTE. I would trade the 715 calls. Just getting these on my watch list. Amazon gave it back up. Definitely seen a little weakness here. Except for Meta. On Amazon, I'm going to load up some puts. I would do the 242.5 puts, 1DTE. Amazon trying to stay green, getting a little bounce now in the S&P. Russell's still staying strong, trying to get back above previous day high. Microsoft and Nvidia just kind of chopping at lows. Meta's now pulling back. Amazon trying to bounce. S&P trying to bounce. NASDAQ staying the weakest. SMH through lows, AVGO through lows, MU through lows, AMD through lows, SNDK through lows. Tesla's bounce getting pushed back down. S&P kind of holding below pre-market lows. I'm gonna look at the SPY 1DTE puts. SPY 1DTE puts. I would trade the 694 puts. $694 puts in SPY. Just want to see if this got my order ready on the SPY puts. 694 1DTE puts in SPY. Right at pre-market low. All right, I'm taking SPY. Filled at 162. So I want to see SPY hold below this pre-market low. Meta's bounce,
Order
giving it
partially
up.
filled. Order filled. Order partially filled. Order filled.
Ooh, nice drop. Why are my... Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna get out of some SPY puts at 201. Filled at 201. Nice quick drop. Beautiful.
Order cancelled. Order partially filled. Order filled.
Beautiful. So I started with 30. I scaled out of 20 of those, so I've got 10 left. So my next profit target, I'll scale out of another 5 if it keeps going lower. We were supposed to have jolts this morning, but it got removed for some reason. So no 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern news here. I put a profit target at $2.30 if it makes another flush, but I'll probably move that order. It's a little bit far away. It's kind of at my next level. Meanwhile, IWM, small caps, holding up above previous day high. Meta gave it all up. It had the relative strength. Tesla bouncing again, trying to stay green. All right, S&P's little bounce getting pushed back down. NASDAQ staying weak. Amazon holding, trying to stay green. Tesla, pretty decent bounce here. Couple flushes into red territory for Tesla and then bounce. Goog trying to stay green. Chips are really kind of the weakest, dragging the market down. Banks are strong, which makes sense with IWM strong. Crypto's weak. Hood weak. Need SPY to stay red. It's right at unchanged. I don't want to give too much back in SPY if that was kind of the bottom here. That was a quick flush. S&P, NASDAQ starting to bounce aggressively. Pretty much at my entry now. I want to give it a chance to stay below that pre-market low, but don't want to give up too much here. IWM through highs of day. Getting some aggressive bounces in Tesla. Google. Bitcoin trying to bounce. I took SPY puts, Dark Avenger. All right, it's getting up to my level. I need a rejection here, otherwise I'm going to cut. IWM pushing. Goog big bounce. Apple decent bounce. A lot of the chip stocks, a little bit of a bounce. I'm going to hold here because this is, if SPY can stay below this pre-market low, we may have some more downside, but I don't want to give it too much more room. IWM up a full 1%. Microsoft, very little bounce. It looks like it's heading back down. All right, SPY getting a little rejection off that pre-market low. Fortunately, I didn't get out of any PLTR at the open, just too focused on these day trades, so I wasn't able to. It's back down to lows, pretty weak. Was up 11%, now it's only up 5% after earnings. All right, SPY getting a little rejection here. Let's see if we get another leg down. Microsoft kind of leading the Mag 7 down through lows, PLTR
Order
through lows.
cancelled. Order partially filled. Order filled.
NASDAQ almost back to lows. IWM getting a little rejection at that 265 level. Bitcoin back to lows. Yeah, Tony, I like that Meta pre-market high trade, especially when it made that little bounce, but the market just started kind of getting a little too weak. Couldn't hold itself. Nvidia's starting to roll back over. S&P trying to stay green. It's just chopping between previous day close and pre-market low. AVGO flushing through lows. Amazon back to lows. Apple is pushing up to previous day high. I'm going to keep an eye on Apple if this market bounces. Apple was really strong yesterday, so I had Apple on my list to watch for another extension higher. It's kind of trying to reclaim previous day high here. If I trade Apple calls, I would trade the 1 DTEs and I would do the 272.5 strike. All right, S&P trying to dip back into the red. Let's see if we can get another leg down here. Apple doesn't care, though. Apple's still going up. Google's still bouncing. Microsoft through lows. Nvidia getting back down towards lows. Amazon through lows. IWM is now rejecting. All right, S&P at lows. See if we can get one more flush here. I still have my second profit target in Apple at 230. I'm going to move that to 220. There's Nvidia through lows. Apple is just strong. I'm keeping an eye on Apple here for a retest of previous day high. IWM back below, so small caps now giving it up. Banks are holding strong. Crypto's back to lows. All right, S&P coming down. Another little tick lower. I should hit my 220 profit target to take some more off.
Order filled.
My options got up to 218. Did not hit my 220 yet. NASDAQ really weak here. IWM really giving it up now. All right, there's SPY, hit 220. Could have even added when it bounced back up to pre-market high, but I didn't want to add any more risk there. JP Morgan, Bank of America through highs, and Apple through highs. Everything else pretty weak. Okay, now Apple's starting to dip. Coming back down to previous day high. Keeping an eye on Apple. Meta flushing.
Order partially filled.
Nice flush and SPY
Order
Daddy.
filled.
These contracts are up to 250 now. I've only got 5 left. I'll take 3 more off at 270 if it comes down a little bit more. All right, so Apple's holding previous day high here. I've got an order ready on Apple on the 272.5 calls 1 DTE. I want to see some hold and strength here before I'd enter. Filled on SPY at 270, so I've only got 2 left now. Still watching Apple. It's just bouncing off of previous day high. Still staying fairly strong with everything else flushing. All right. Starting to see a little buying come in on Apple. Nope. Shut back down. Apple back in the red. See if Apple's going to retain some strength here or if it's going to join the bears. The bears. SPY still flushing. I'm gonna still keep an eye on Apple. It's not dead yet. Everything else is weak except for the banks and Apple. Super weak. All right, Apple's starting to bounce again. I'm going to go ahead and shed my SPY. I don't think there's any reason to try to sit through a bounce. I've got 2 left, I think. Let me double check. Yeah, two SPY contracts. I'm going to go ahead and exit those. Filled at 334. Nice little trade there. So Apple's dip, trying to get bought up here. Yeah, I sold some puts at like $1.20. I've got some more that are trading for about $2 on my BIX. Joaquim, I mentioned it was the on SPY it was the 1 DTE. So if I trade one of the indices, it's almost always a 1 DTE or 0 DTE. With the new Monday, Wednesday, Friday option expirations in those top 7, I mentioned before, maybe you joined late, but I was either going to trade the 1 or 3 DTE, and in every case I was trading the 1 DTE is what I had loaded.
Order filled.
Apple would be 1 DTE also, yes. But it's Apple's still coming down, so never really had any good buyers step in. IWM, big bounce, yeah, trying to get back up to previous day high. Banks staying strong. Microsoft, super weak. Barely any bounces here. Just kind of grinding lower. Didn't have the flush after the first 10 minutes, Microsoft, but definitely staying weak. So Apple, you can see now back below previous day close into the red. Tesla, another bounce, trying to stay green. Kind of feels like Tesla wants to go. I mean, it's been holding off. It keeps having these big bounces and then gets caught in the market flush, but Tesla back in the green. You can see nice relative bounce compared to the indices in Tesla. Amazon just bleeding. Goog, which was holding up before, is bleeding. All right, Apple's off the board now for now. Just big rejection off previous day high. S&P's a little bounce, getting pushed back down. Same with the NASDAQ. IWM still right at previous day high. MU back through lows. AMD back through lows.
Order partially
Chip
filled.
stocks are not having a day.
Order filled.
Not having the day.
Order cancelled.
S&P new low. NASDAQ
Order
new
filled.
low. The blood is not over yet. I'll be back in 1 minute. Amazon's still coming down hard. Meta coming down hard. Apple's little dip trying to get bought up. If it reclaims back above previous day high, Apple, I would still be interested. If we see a bounce in the market, it's definitely still showing relative strength or not as much weakness. Yeah, so I wanted to readdress Joaquim your question. So with the new Monday, Wednesday, Friday options, we're going to have a lot more opportunities for a little bit shorter duration. And so 1 DTE is my favorite expiration to trade. So if 1 DTEs are available, if it's between 1 and 3 DTE, I'm going to choose the 1. I try to be repetitive and say which strike and which DTE that I'm looking at, but just FYI for future reference, that would kind of be my default if it's between those two. Tomorrow it'll be 0 and 2 DTE, so I would do the 2 DTE on those ones that have it available. All right, PLTR starting to bounce. Let me see what my earnings fly is doing now. It was pretty centered at the open, but I just couldn't spend the attention on closing it. It's up almost 100%. Let's see if it wants to keep bouncing here. That was a pretty ugly flush out of the gate. Now it's kind of bouncing aggressively. Chip stocks, not much of a bounce here. IWM couldn't hold above previous day high. I'm out. I closed out my last SPY puts right before that little bounce. Probably about right where it's at right now. here was my here are my SPY executions. John W. new here today. Welcome, John W. Primarily interested in 0 and 1 DTE trades on the indices. Do you use percent targets, stops, or something else? Great SPY trade. I use levels on my chart to try to exit. Now, there's not always a level to use as a target. So in that case, I just kind of scale out as it pushes in my direction. So in this case with SPY, if you can see my screen, I got in at pre-market lows right here, and when it made that first push, I had a profit target in that was pretty close to this level. And these are levels that I mark pre-market on the hourly chart. So let me bring that up. Or you could do it on a 15-minute or just a higher time frame. But so these are the levels I had pre-market on SPY. The first one was kind of this, and it's really just kind of major or sometimes minor pivot levels like this. This is where price kind of bounced at yesterday's close into the close and overnight. So I had that one marked. So that was my first level. And then this one was just the high of Friday. I had that one marked. I took some more off there. And then really it's just kind of scaling out and trying to squeeze as much out of it as you can. So I try to stay. You can do percentages too. I talked about this in the recent day trading class that I did. So if you haven't seen that, go back and watch that. I talk about why I don't use percentages. Just different key levels, just different levels where the market has turned in the past. S&P new lows. So the reason I don't use percentages is because I'm a big believer in not watching my P&L. And so if I start trading based on a percentage, then that kind of focuses my attention towards my P&L, and I don't want to do that. The other thing is if you're very consistently only trading 0 or 1 DTE, I don't hate using percentages. But if you're trading 0 DTE one day and then 7 DTE another day and 4 DTE another day, those percentages are going to be completely different based on those DTEs, right? The stock has to make just a very minutia of a move to hit, 10 or 20% on a 0 DTE, whereas if you're trading 7 DTE, it has to make a pretty sizable move. So if you're consistently only trading 0 or 1 DTE, then I don't see anything wrong with percentages, but I would still make sure you're not putting any kind of emphasis on your P&L while you're in the trade, if that makes sense. So now really what I'm looking for would be to start to see some kind of reversal pattern in S&P or QQQ, and then I would look at which stocks are showing relative strength. Still could possibly be Apple. Or we might start seeing some, or if we start seeing some, if the S&P and NASDAQ start trying to putting in a little bit of a reversal, we might start seeing some kind of real better strength on the bounce in something else. So that's what I would be looking for potential long at this point. Okay, starting to see a little bounce. Maybe, even IWM, it's still holding up really well. I took it right at pre-market lows. So right here, like I'm pointing at on my 15-minute chart right there. I marked out the pre-market low while we were here on the live stream. I didn't even have that marked before, but just watching the price action, I liked how it was acting around that. And then, so right when it was holding below that level, I got in right around here, right around 840. Let me see my execution. Yeah, 842. You can see all the executions I posted above, Abash. Central Time. Anybody else catch SPY with me? Jonathan W., I saw you accidentally bought calls instead of puts. Yeah, that's I've done that more times than I care to admit. But one thing that has helped me with that is, like I've talked about, I'm trading off of this setup so that I whenever I'm seeing price action in something that I think I might have interest in, I just copy that. I copy the option onto this watch list. And so then it's another kind of way of helping double check whether I got the right one, because you can see if it's a C or a P, right? Sometimes I'll accidentally copy the wrong one, then I'll have to delete it and go back, but that actually has helped me with that as well.
Order cancelled.
So I'm kind of preloading those in advance.
Order filled. Order filled.
Brian T, Tony, too much. Nice. Aaron, in the day trading course, there is a script for TradingView or the shared link for TOS, and that gives you the previous day high, low, open, close. The pre-market levels, these green dotted lines, and the ones that I manually mark those pre-market before the market opens. The previous day, open, high, low, close, those are automatic. But all the other ones I manually mark, which, especially if you're getting started, I would highly encourage you to manually mark those. It will really just help you with your preparation for trading. The other, if you use TradingView, there's also another indicator. This is not something that I created, but it's just a public indicator on TradingView. It's just called Key Levels, and it's super customizable. You can have it mark pre-market high and low. You can mark it overnight high and low. There's previous day high and low. You can have it mark all kinds of stuff. It's a really good indicator if you're on TradingView. Yeah, and then there's that, Moel. Every once in a while you buy the wrong thing and it works out. Those are my favorite. All right, S&P starting to get a little bounce. IWM trying to get back above previous day high. Bitcoin a little bounce back up to previous day low. I mean, Apple's just kind of chopping lower still. It came down and did hold above pre-market highs. I'm not ready to get long yet, though. I need to see more. So yeah, Apple's just kind of chopping around that pre-market high level. AVGO flushing through lows again. These chips are weak. The chips are weak. S&P's a little bounce, getting pushed back down. Banks are, well, Goldman's red now. JP Morgan and Bank of America are just finally giving a little pullback the last 15 minutes. Crypto stocks still weak, but looks like they're trying to bounce a little bit, pretty similar to Bitcoin. Oh, thanks, Anil. S&P back through lows. NASDAQ back through lows. Microsoft through lows. Nvidia through lows. Meta getting a little flushy through lows. Netflix tried to bounce. It's back through lows. Looks like we're not done yet, kids. We're not done bleeding yet.
Order partially filled. Order filled.
NASDAQ now through previous day low. Yeah, not ready to go long yet. No falling knives, kids. No catching falling knives. They cut and it hurts. Don't do it. Amazon dipped below yesterday's low. PLTR had a little bit of an aggressive bounce, and it did not go back through lows. Tesla's still holding up. It's trying to get green again. I think if this market can bottom, Tesla may have some legs to the upside. All right, seeing some dip buyers come in. IWM pushing. So if I can get something that I can really manage my risk around, I think the three stocks I'll be focusing on are Apple, Tesla, and IWM. As of right now, anyway. Yeah, Bitcoin had a big bounce. Kind of a reversal. I mean, it just was kind of choppy, and then that's breaking out of its consolidation. Yeah, we may be here for a while before anything sets up. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap the stream. If I do see anything, I will post in the directional trade channel. Otherwise, just kind of one and done at this point. Booked a little over 1,700 on my SPY trade, so good start. If I can sneak in one more here in the near future, I will. I've got the Navigation Trading Show at 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern. I'll post the link for that. Otherwise, we'll be back for Power Hour. Everybody have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon.